everyone, welcome to my very first episode of Raven Knight's Nostalgic Corner. I am here with Gothic Churro, who is from Superior Nerdom, and we are going to be discussing everything Power Rangers today. So, let's get started. So, what do you think is your theory of how the 30th anniversary is going to start?
I think it's gonna start off with what happened to Trini,
I was
and then
very excited to see she's coming back, even if it's just, you know, um, a stand-in character.
yeah, that's how I feel it's gonna start off. Is what happened to her, and how Billy and Zach had to go tell her daughter what happened.
Yeah. I have a feeling that we're going to have a little bit of a different perspective with it. Um, my take based off of the trailers is it looks like we might have a completely new shift in leadership. And I'm hoping that my theory of Billy being leader for the group is correct. I mean, he has created 90% of the inventions for the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger crew with the help of Alpha, who is still played by Richard Horowitz, who was known for Invader Zim and is now known for Hell of a Boss. He's going to be returning, and I'm excited to hear that. Um, I think he did a very good Alpha voice, and well, he's just all around a comic to begin with. But I kind of want to see if he becomes the leader. I think he
Yeah,
deserves it. um, through the years, we've seen many leaders for the Mighty Morphin crew. We've seen Jason, and then we saw Tommy, and then we saw Rocky. But it's always kind of resonated in the back of my mind based off all the inventions of the communicators and now the possible duplicate power coins that, you know, it makes you wonder if Billy was really the leader all along and nobody ever said anything. And David Yost has been pretty active on Instagram posting about the trailer, so I can't wait to see what they do. I am very happy to see that Trini is getting a final nod, and that they're respectively keeping her legacy going with her daughter, in the show at least. And I hope, we see a lot more cameos, but there's only so little being revealed, as we talked about on your podcast earlier. And at the same time, it's so much to take in.
yeah.
So, do you think um, that this is going to be like a multi record breaking box office hit, or do you think it's going to be a kind of a nah?
Um, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know if it's gonna lead to something like a sequel or a new series with Trini's daughter leading a new team.
That's kind of what I
Because
was wondering.
yeah, but I feel we would. I don't know. It's just that they're gonna be focusing too much on Power Rangers Cosmic Fury after this.
Right.
But I know that fans are gonna want more.
Oh, yeah. The way they're promoting it, we're already at the edge of our seat, like going, oh, really? This is going to happen? You know, that metaphoric nail biting moment. And you're like, I can't wait for more. However, I did see rumors going around that are stirring up like crazy wildfire in a lot of the Power Ranger groups that Netflix maybe selling off the Power Rangers franchise to possibly Disney or somebody else soon. I know behind the scenes, you and I have talked about that before. What is your theory on that?
I don't think they're gonna sell it because it's millions of dollars, the franchise. They're not stupid enough to sell it, seeing after all the success they're getting from it.
And I agree. I feel like it would be too sudden too because didn't they just sell it not even a year or two ago to Netflix?
Hmm.
And a lot of the people are like, oh, well, if they're selling it, are they going to finish the Hasbro helmet line? And that actually is a good question. Like, I would love an answer to. I'm not saying they are going to sell it. I'm kind of on the same side of the fence as you. I don't see it happening, but if they were they going to finish the collectible helmets? I mean, we do have Jason David Franks, and we have Jason Lee Scott, known as Austin St. John's, and we just recently got Kimberly too. So are they going to finish the rest of the Rangers or not? But I hope that Netflix is doing justice to this launch of the 30th anniversary and coming up with some very unique ideas for merchandise because I think it's going to be very interesting if they don't. But I have seen something very interesting last night, merchandise wise, that I was like, oh, I want to jump on this. And it was through my Instagram. It's from New Zealand. New Zealand is issuing a, what is it, 1 ounce silver Power Ranger commemorative coin.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that's pretty cool. I think for the price tag, it is reasonable because silver is a little on the expensive side, but at the same time, I'm like, not a lot of people are going to be able to afford that. I mean, almost $109 to $180 is a lot of money, but it does have all six of the original Rangers. So it has Jason, it's got Tommy, it's got Kimberly, Trini, Zach, and Billy in pure color.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh. And as you and I both just found out, Boom Studios. Let's talk about Boom Studios for a few.
All right.
They they are known for a lot of the comics for the Power Rangers, and they have done beautiful artwork and a beautiful storytelling. But right now they are launching. Well, they had launched a Kickstarter for the 30th anniversary, where there is about 8 different tiers, ranging from $50 all the way to $1,500. Unfortunately, the last two tiers, tier 8 and 9, uh, sorry, tier 8 and 9 have completely sold out. But they are launching some hardcore merch for this. Hardcovers with slipcases of Volume 1 and 2 with the Lost Chronicles, Letterman jackets, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, issue 0 and special number 1 Power Coin editions, and just to get a few ideas of what they're launching. And it has already ranked. Oh, it's updated since we checked it last. $558,000 and 558 $997 out of a $25,000 goal with still 1,475 backers. That's a lot of money. And they did state that this is going to be going on for like a year long event where they're going to be celebrating the 30th anniversary for a while.
Yeah.
So, what do you think we're going to see coming from Boom Studios? Like, We know they've had the
I
Power Ranger
know
name.
I know that apparently Amy Jo Johnson, aka Kimberly Hart, is writing a Power Ranger story for them
I know.
with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend's co-writing it.
Ooh, that's going to be an interesting mix.
And they're really being secretive of what's in store for us after Once and Always.
Right.
I know there's probably gonna be some special variant covers in the upcoming issues of Power Rangers,
Hmm.
which right now it's getting good. The story. I won't spoil anything because not everybody has read them
Right.
or they're going to start reading them. But I think once they see the results of Once and Always, they're probably gonna plan some more stuff for us.
I hope so. Because I feel like it would be a huge letdown to the Power Ranger fan base. And it's not
Mhm.
just the fan base doesn't even just cover Mighty Morphin anymore. It goes all the way to what was it? The last one was what was it? I think Beast Morphers?
No, it was Ninja Steel.
Ninja Steel. Okay. So it's gone
I
for
think I think I don't remember. I don't know which one it was. To be
yeah,
honest.
the last one I remember seeing anything was Beast Morphers, and that was because it was right before um, everything legal went down with Austin St. John, and he was making one of the appearances in it. And then I kind of
Yeah.
didn't really hear much more from there about anything. So I feel like they were never really prepared for how well this was going to go. I mean, 30 years of different continuities of Power Rangers. That's a lot. And it all just started from what was it, Super Sentai? And
Yep.
and I don't think they really grasped how well the American audience was going to love this franchise. Sabine's probably just sitting there back going, it all started with a dumb idea.
Actually, it originally started with three Rangers.
Yep.
Stanley pitched the idea. It was going to be three characters, but Saban was planning it, but the company said no, that nobody's going to watch it. So about years later, around 1993, Power Rangers was born.
Hmm. And I actually sit here and because I've watched, a TV show called The Toys That Made Us, and they had an episode on Power Rangers, and there was a lot of information out there, like how it came from Super Sentai, and there was, you know, I think it was two different toy makers at the time, and they kind of were duking it out on which one wanted to be like the sole maker for Power Rangers. And I look back and wonder, does Stanley, even though he is no longer with us, um, did he ever regret turning it down?
Who?
Stanley, like turning down Power Rangers.
I don't know. The reason why he would have been involved with Power Rangers is because he made the Spider-Man series, the
Right,
Japanese one. He was a co-producer, I think, or executive producer. I don't remember too much of the history because it's been a while.
of course.
But I don't think he would regret it because he had Marvel. Marvel
Right.
was his thing.
And just think about this. If he took it, Power Rangers would have been part of the Marvel continuity. Or at least their like corporate company. That would have been interesting to see how much further the franchise could have gone. Like, I sit here and I'm joking about this, of course, but it would be kind of unique to see them hop in with The Avengers from time to time. I mean, like, even though they're totally separate franchises, but
The
if
funny thing is, Power Rangers did cross over with Justice League from DC Comics.
I have heard that, I have heard that, and um, I never followed it, but I've heard of it, and I heard it was kind of like a mixed review thing. Some people liked it, some people didn't, but it'd just be interesting. Like, there's so many possibilities for this franchise if they were to be bought out. And
Yeah.
at the same time, you're like, which way could it go? Would Marvel want to jump in on it? Or would it be left to Disney to kind of, yeah, let's not talk about that. But, um, it's just interesting. I hope they do some appropriately nodded nostalgia to the original fan base of the Mighty Morphin during this 30th episode without overdoing it and making it look super cheesy. But at the same time, I hope they also don't overdo it with the CGI. So it's modern, but it doesn't look ridiculous, too. What were your thoughts on the dark version of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers reboot before we got the Saban version?
Oh, the one that was on YouTube?
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed it because it was something I always wanted. I wanted a mature Power Rangers because, us 90s kids, we grew up with the 90s one, but since we're older, it's time for a more mature one of how they can go for it.
Right.
I mean, there were some things I didn't like of it. Like I didn't like the suit design of a Black Ranger. It looked weird. The helmet was looked too big. Um, I liked the shield on Tommy, how it was like a hologram.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. I wish that we seen more of the Zords because that was pretty cool too. How they CGI'd the Zord, the Megazord.
Yes.
So and then having Jason and Kimberly get actually married, that was pretty interesting.
I agree.
Having Bulk and Skull as drug addicts, that's how I saw them as because they were delinquents. I hadn't seen them like growing up somewhere.
To be honest with you, I kind of saw that. Like, it always kind of was loosely insinuated they were punks. And when
Yeah,
we were growing up in the 90s, that's unfortunately what punks were into. So, like, it was just nice to see something that was gritty, dark, but it wasn't, you know, making you question, like, oh, was this ever made, It was mature. It kind of
yeah,
almost gave a video game vibe. Like, I wonder why they never made a video
yeah.
game off that.
The only thing I didn't like is that they use real guns.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they use their blasters
Yeah,
instead.
their phasers.
Yeah,
That would have been cool. And I will agree. I liked the fact that um, Tommy's shield was actually holographic. But I also kind of noticed something. I don't know if you noticed. A couple of the Rangers that were hanging out with him also kind of gave off like those Psycho Ranger vibes without being declared it. Did you ever notice that?
no,
There was at least it's been a few years, so um when they introduced his character, it seemed like there was, I don't know if it was the Pink Ranger or the Yellow Ranger, but one of them was super loyal to him, which also kind of gave off like a, did they work for him and was he hiding as Lord Draken vibe, or what was going on? So it kind of, in my book gave off the Psycho Ranger vibe. like
Yeah.
somebody who's super devoted to the villain, which I thought was pretty cool. I honestly would have loved to see that part of like that fan film be dropped as an actual movie too. So it, even though it's independent, it goes with the Power Ranger franchise because a lot of people did like it, and a lot of people were complaining that the Saban reboot did not live up to that, and we wanted more of the one that was a fan film, which is a unique twist, you would think. But yeah, so it's nice to see that I keep pronouncing her name Karan because I don't know if that's how it's pronounced or if it's Karen. But I'm glad to see Aisha possibly making a comeback. Um, I'm glad to see Kat's making a comeback, and that Zach is making a comeback, and Billy's making a comeback. And there's just so many Rangers from over the continuity of the lifespan for the Power Rangers that are making appearances. It's just like, is this going to be like the ultimate battle to save the world, much like they were in Beast Morphers and in that episode? Sorry, I'm chewing on a cough drop, forgive me. And like that episode with Jason David Frank, where it's all the Rangers from all over the Morphin grid, or is it just going to be a select few, like the best of the best? What do you think?
Um, I think there's gonna be some surprises, like maybe some Rangers they didn't mention. But I do know I noticed that while watching the trailer again that Tommy, Jason, and Kimberly were turned into dolls.
I did
They
notice
were
that after you
behind,
pointed it out.
yeah, they were behind Rita, and they were the top three on the first shelf.
Hmm.
And then I saw some screenshots of more Rangers being turned into dolls. I'm like, okay, so that's what happened with all the Rangers. She's going after everybody, not just the Mighty Morphin.
Yeah, she's going after all continuities. And there was like
Yep.
two empty, which ironically, unless if I missed it, of course, the Easter eggs um, kind of nodded as it was Billy and Zach that were not on there. So it's kind of weird how this is going to play out. I hope it doesn't like break the franchise where everybody gets mad about how it goes on and how it ends, because there are a lot of diehards out there that really want to stick to specifics of the franchise, whether it's the series or the books or both. But I hope they don't like do something that makes a huge continuity mistake, because we know a lot of people will go off on it, and you're one of them. But I just kind of want to see how this whole um, thing's gonna go down. Like, can it be April 19th yet? But how many more people are going to jump onto the merchandise train? Like, are we going to see um, Hasbro making special toys for it? Are we going to see like a DVD release of this? Are we going to be seeing a Hot Topic line for the people that shop there? Newberry Comics getting their own specific line. Um, Local comic stores getting rare exclusive things. We don't know. I just know from what little we discovered, Boom Studios and Amy Jo are going to be doing their own thing. And
Yep.
I'm kind of looking forward to the Amy Jo interpretation for it. Like, I understand she couldn't come back as Kim. It kind of broke my heart a little bit. But at the same time,
Well, it was obvious because she did give her powers to Kat,
right.
and the
But
only
if
time
you,
she came back as Kimberly was in the Turbo movie, and that's it. That was the last time I saw her.
Right. And I think Boom Studios was also anticipating she would say yes because if you actually look at a lot of the merchandise that they're revealing, it does have her face on a lot of it as Kimberly Hart. So I don't know. Does that mean that, maybe if the fan theory cat gives up the power and returns it back to her? Or some maybe Kimberly's daughter? Or we don't know. Like it
Yeah,
could
we don't
go
know
on.
what's gonna happen. We don't know if it's gonna be a new team or it's gonna be the same team that
Right,
we saw.
exactly. So it's all like high anticipation. Like a lot of the Power Rangers are obviously through multiple platforms of social media, and I follow quite a few of them, and it's literally all everybody's blasting about right now. Like anybody that is a Ranger fan, such as you and I, or a Power Ranger actor, or in groups for it, it is going viral. So I hope whatever they did does not disappoint because it's going to be a lot of people angry. Um, but it's just, it's a big milestone, like 30 years of Power Rangers. I'm pretty sure they did not look that forward into the future. And I hope for future generations it's another 30 or more. I know that's pushing it, but you never know. Because
Who knows? Because comic books been around for a while, so I'm sure Power Rangers
exactly,
will be around for a while, as long as people are watching it and new generations come in.
exactly. And as we all know, Legend of the White Dragon's coming out around
Yep.
Labor Day weekend. So everybody's looking forward to that too. So we have two major Power Ranger productions coming in like a mere short months of each other. Like April to September is not a long time, even though it feels like it. But it could revive everybody's love for it. Like anybody who kind of distanced themselves through the years from the Power Rangers, it could revive their love for it. And even
Yep.
though they're separate filmmakers, separate companies, and one of the original actors from one is in this other project and not in the 30th anniversary, it could really break the internet. It really truly could because you know um it really depends on how Jason's goes. And a lot of people were looking for the um like a different story for him. So it's just mind-boggling. Like there's no words for how amazing this year is going to be for the Power Rangers crew. It really isn't. Like everybody has their own opinion. Everybody is like, well, I hope to see this, I hope to see that. But at the same time, like there's so much happening. It's kind of overwhelming at this point in a good way. So what do you think we're going to see after all of this? Like after the Power Rangers 30th anniversary and after Legend of the White Dragon coming out. Do you see
I
any
am.
more of it branching out?
If Legend of the White Dragon does good, I could see it as comic books because it won't be the same if they unless he has the mantle down to Jenna in the movie or whatever character she is. We don't know because there's no trailer yet. All there is behind the scenes,
Yeah, and
and
that kind of got me concerned too because if it's coming out in September, why haven't you dropped a trailer?
I think they're gonna do it around June.
You think so?
Usually, when new movies come out, they start promoting it 2 months before its release.
Well, I hope so. I'm also wondering if that one's gonna go to a DVD too, because there's so many people. Like a lot of the movie theaters, at least on the East Coast, aren't doing so hot. So
Yeah.
there's for some people, movie theaters are very plentiful. For some, might not be. So I hope they are smart and launch it into a DVD or some
Yeah.
form of something else, so those people can see it, whether it's on Netflix or not. But while we're talking about Legend of the White Dragon, I have heard that there's going to be some amazing merch coming from Bat and Son. And whatever companies are working with them for merchandise. And I really think Saban really messed up. And so didn't Hasbro not jumping on this, because their merchandise seems like more unique than
Hmm.
what um, the Netflix and Saban line are dropping, or Hasbro. I keep saying Saban, sorry. I'm so used to having their name everywhere. But like, I heard that there was going to be a signed um, white dragon helmet, and there was going to be some form of a script release for a few people, like say for example 5 people, and
Hmm.
certain things like that. And I'm sitting there going like, why isn't Hasbro doing stuff like this? I feel like they're kind of promoting it all the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like Boom Studios, here, I'll make a very good argument here. Boom Studios had 9 tiers of people donating money, and it's already ranked in, let's see if it's been updated since, because now I'm kind of curious. It has already ranked in more than $500,000. It's almost at $560,000. Now, they had 8 tiers where they were offering specific things for those really die-hard collectors, which
Hmm.
are unique. Like some of them are relaunches of something that have already been done, but they're signed or they're graded or something of that sort to make it more special. But what seems to be happening, and I noticed this in recent years, is they're kind of launching the Lightning stuff and the Legacy stuff, and it's all the same products that we originally had as kids in the 90s, which is fine because it makes it collectible. But the more you sit back as a collector and think about it,
Hmm.
the more they're devaluing the original 90s stuff by relaunching it in different forms. And it doesn't seem like they keep coming up with anything new. Oh, they have action figures for this series and comic books for this series, but it seems like Boom Studios was doing it the right way. Like they have a Letterman jacket saying that you were part of Angel Grove High School. I don't see that in Target or Walmart on sale.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like Hasbro isn't really diving into the waterfall of possibilities. They want to just keep rebooting everything the same way because they know it sells. But by doing so, it also shows they're scared and they care about quantity over individuality. So I'm hoping
Right.
they step up their game and they do something like, let's say, for example, taking all the Zords that were in the original Megazord, in the original series, and compiling them all into one jumbo Megazord or something, like every single one being pieced together to make one jumbo Megazord. That would be awesome, you know. That could be a couple $100, like $200 to $300, and people would buy it. Or, um, let's say, for example, relaunching a adult collector version of the SPD communicators. But that's the problem, is they haven't really ventured out too much. They're playing it safe. I mean, Starlight Studios, look at them. They make collectible adult communicators for the original series. And look how much they sell out. I'm sure you've seen them there around the internet a couple dozen times.
Yeah.
And then you got Bucci Boy, who is also another Etsy user. And I'm not trying to get these people in trouble, but he does the helmets long before Hasbro did. And they're like high quality, you can wear them, they look right off the show. But you see, they don't bring in, designers like that, where they could make more money. And I'd never understood why. I feel like there is a giant demographic that they're missing. And because they're missing that mark, that's why a lot of people kind of deviated from it. Back in the 90s, it was so hard to get a hold of a Power Rangers toy. It was like ridiculous.
Yeah.
I will tell you a funny story about this. So it goes for all the Rangers fans. My parents knew I loved Power Rangers so much that they went to KB Toy Store, they went to Toys R Us, they went to Kmart, Ames, and Ann and Hope, because Walmart didn't exist at the time. If it did, it wasn't on the East Coast until like early 2000s. And they went everywhere just to get Power Ranger toys for a Power Ranger themed Christmas. And unfortunately, like unlike most, I do not have the entire set, and I'm fine with that. But I look back on their prices. Let's say, for example, the Saba Sword was $29.99. That's nothing compared to what we're paying now. We're paying like
Yeah.
50 to $60 for this. I didn't have the Power Coin set with the Morpher, so I went out when the Lightning series came out to Walmart, and I paid like $50 for it, or $30 for it, which is fine. And I'm like, I finally got a Morpher. But there is so much that they left unprepared through the years. And I think it was because they were planning on the show not being a big hit, which is fine in retrospect, because you don't know. But even back then, they couldn't keep the toys coming. And I remember having Trini and Kimberly as a Barbie doll.
Yeah.
So, hey, Saban, why don't you, Netflix and Hasbro, why don't you compile with Mattel and do a 30th anniversary edition Power Rangers Barbie set with all the original Rangers? Jason, Zach, Billy, Trini, Kimberly, and Tommy. Sell it for like $180. Or sell them individually for like 20 or 30. You don't think for a second that if it was a black label Barbie collectors that people would buy them? Then they'd be sadly mistaken, because look at Elvis has had many Barbies through the years. Even Barbie as Elvis. I mean, we've had numerous Star Wars ones, and they always sell. So I feel like they're kind of catering to the kids more than the adults, and they really need to kind of shift that balance a little bit. because it's the adults that are going to buy it. I don't think I know a single kid that ran out and bought one of those lightning morphers. Actually, on the contrary, I know about 5 adults that did, and they bought one for them to display, one to keep in box, and a few to buy on sell on eBay. So, like, it really makes you question what they think they're doing. And I don't mean to like provide hatred, but it's kind of like a little bit of a realistic point of view. So I hope they really truly don't disappoint some way, shape, or form for the merchandise. The merchandise is what keeps the vibe going after, something big like this happens. You could have the merchandise on the floor a year later and people will still buy it. Opinions?
I don't have any.
But at the same time, like, I can't say it enough. I feel like they're missing a huge demographic here. And it's almost like they're doing it intentionally. And it does kind of, you know, bother me a little bit because if it was my company, I'd be doing for both. You know, there's adult collectors, there's young collectors. It kind of makes sense. So, I have a feeling that the merchandise we're going to see coming from the Bat and Sun project is going to be a little bit more unique. And
Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting a poster of it.
I actually have a card. So I didn't get to tell you this on your podcast, but for the people that have not heard Superior Nerddom's podcast, July 10th of 2022, I met Jason David Frank in Worcester at a local GameStop, Worcester, Massachusetts, not England. But he was a pretty genuine guy. Like, it still shocks me that he's not here today because the vibes he was giving off that day totally contradict what had happened to him. And I understand heartbreak is a very powerful emotion that some can't deal with, but it was just almost like you were talking to your next door neighbor that you knew for 30 years, or your older cousin, or an older brother. He was just not a celebrity. He came off as a normal, everyday person. So, you know, I sit here and I wonder, would he have created more movies with Bat and Sun if he was still with us, knowing what the fans want?
He might. He could have. It's just like what I thought about Brandon, the late Brandon Lee
Mm-hmm.
from The Crow. I felt like okay, he could have done
So much more.
maybe another and so much more stuff.
Right,
More than his father did.
right,
But with just there, Freak, yeah, I could see that if he was still alive, he would have done more of Legend of the White Dragon and other projects that he had in mind.
right. And from what little time I got to spend with JDF, he was declaring that he did not want to be recognized as a celebrity because he did not see himself as one. He saw himself as a guy who loved doing his job and loved, he like did his job because that's what he loved to do.
Yeah,
And he looked at his fans as respective beings. Like if you were originally part of the Power Rangers with him, he didn't look to you as moneymakers. He didn't look to you as, oh, well, I'm going to be a greedy snob. He was like, oh, thank you for coming. And yeah, I have no problem being an iconic member of your childhood. And he was just amazing. but you could see the pride when he saw the fans. And I hate saying this because, I feel like everybody laughs at me when I say it. But there was hardly any little kids there. It was all adults. Like adults from the 80s and 90s and mid 90s there who grew up with Power Rangers. And yeah, there was a couple of them that, they brought their own kids to meet them. But you can see who was more engaged.
Yeah.
There was a guy who was bragging that he bought like number, I'm going to say 87 out of 100 of those legacy Saba swords. And he was so proud of it. And JDF signed it, which was no big deal. But when he found out that I was behind this guy with the original Saba sword from the 1990s, he's like, "Is that a vintage Saba sword?" And I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, "Oh my God." And his face lit up. It was amazing to see that he appreciated the iconic toys that kept his character alive. Like, it made you wonder, is he actually a collector? Which I found out later on he is, or was. But I wish you could have been there. His face went from, "Oh, I'm meeting everybody," to, "Holy crap, is that a vintage toy? Oh my God." You know, it was just, it's still a shock. Like, I can't describe it enough. It really is, it feels like it's not real. But he was promoting the legend of the White Dragon and something called the Power Ranger Protection Program, which I'm going to assume is from the White Dragon movie. And I'm sure we're going to find out more
Hmm.
about it. But he was just so proud of that Legend of the White Dragon. I've never seen somebody boast how proud they were of a project. He had so much confidence in it. So I know deep down it's going to be blown out of the water. Like, it's going to be like, he thought it was going to cause a little avalanche, but it's going to be like, nah, it's going to be like a huge tsunami of emotions and everything. And I pretty much am certain, like, back in the day of Titanic, when nobody left the movie theaters with a dry eye, I have a feeling
Hmm.
we're going to see another post in some local newspapers about his movie doing the same thing. Like, I
Yeah.
genuinely see it. It's it's going to be like a very powerful impact. And I've seen, a lot of celebrities through the years, like Paul Walker passing away and the impact that he left on the community. But I don't think I've ever genuinely said I've seen a huge impact on a community as much as Jason have left. The level of footsteps he did made him a legit, like, I don't I don't throw this word around very often, but it made him a god. He was a triple threat. He was an actor. He was an MMA uh, teacher. He was not only an MMA teacher, but a level 7 black belt. And he was also, at some points for the franchise, a model. I mean, how much more could you make yourself in the industry? I don't think there was much more other than us finding out he was a amazing musician later on. But
Yeah.
you know, I have reason to believe that is exactly why everybody loved him, because the impact of Tommy Oliver's footsteps that he left behind through the years. And I'm still like in awe to know that he has been the most recorded in filmography for the Power Rangers. He's been in every single season. And yes, Billy and Zach have appeared here and there. Kimberly has. I'm sure Kat has, and other people, but never to the level of him. And I think that's what made him the face of the Power Rangers. So I don't know how this is going to go this year, and that's kind of where I've been rocking back and forth. I have a feeling for the franchise, no matter continuity or what, it's going to be a very emotional year.
Yeah.
Um, and despite any form of controversies that are surrounding Jason and his past, I hope he genuinely can look down and see the amount of people still supporting him today. And he's sitting up there on the other side of the Morphin grid and smiling. Because I feel like if he knew that people loved him as much as we do, and, the heartbreak that his untimely passing caused, he might not have
Mhm.
done it. He might not have. But there is a lot of things that, people have come out through the years saying, he had really bad um, demons under his belt, so to speak. And regardless if it's true or not, he had to deal with them the way he thought was necessary, unfortunately. But I just hope, no matter how this year goes, that there is not like any hatred brought up about it. And I hope all fans realize that this is done in the best taste possible. And I hope nobody takes hard feelings on it, because I have been seeing a lot of that um, since what happened last November happened. And there have been moments that, like, I'm sure you can say there's like a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth about certain things. And I know that I've been like, okay, well, I kind of see why they're saying this and I kind of see why they're saying that. But I feel like it's doing a more disrespect to JDF, even posting about certain things.
Yeah.
Um, because it is a personal life. And regardless if it made media or not, he did ask for respect of all his fans and every ranger out there to have privacy. But there's just so much disrespect going around still, and it really annoys me. Like, I can't log on to social media in the morning and not see about 5 posts from the growing up with the Power Rangers since 1990s, since the
Mhm.
90s or whatever, and not see about 5 posts regarding JDF. And you can see it's caused a huge pain in the community. Like,
Well, yeah, there's some things that are not meant to be said,
right.
but there were hate groups,
Yep.
and fans
And
couldn't let it go. They didn't understand that mental illness is actually real. It's actually a dangerous thing,
right.
and it's scary.
Right. And it is awful that it's taking so many people. And don't get me wrong, we know there's quite a few celebrities that I'm sure we both idolized that have been victims of a mental awareness. And it's
Mhm.
taken at least 20 to 25 years of our 30 years of life, if not more, to realize that when it should have been addressed earlier on, and I agree to that. It should have been addressed earlier on, but technology's making it so that way it can be addressed now. Even still, it's kind of like a, well, it's still too late for that, you know what I mean, scenario?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't bring these people back. And I hate throwing other people into the mix when I'm talking about specific things, but I'll use Heath Ledger as a very good example. People are like, oh, he's into, you know, bad stuff. And unfortunately, I'm going to keep it not geared to that so that way I don't get like shutter bombed, so to speak, but, or shutter banned. But at the same time, everybody's like, oh, well, Mary Kate was behind this and Mary Kate's behind that. And she would never come out and say, okay, yes, I was. No, I wasn't. But then people are like, oh, he became deranged because of his role of the Joker. And everybody was pointing fingers without any evidence. And the
Yep.
evidence that was there was he unfortunately passed away from a lethal mixture of prescribed medicines. Leave it be. Is it tragic? Yes, it is. But I don't understand why everybody needs to point the finger. And I've caught myself doing it sometimes for certain things. Like, there are some things about JDF's personal life that have surfaced that I kind of see where people are pointing the finger, and I respect that. But at the same time, you have to understand that's only one side of the story.
Yeah.
And the person that's suffering the most is not the people that everybody is looking at. It's his daughter. Because she started going to conventions. And I'm
Yeah.
sure she's getting millions of questions a day about why did he do it? What happened? What's this? What's that? And I'm sure it's not easy because she is just a normal human being at the end of the day. But because her dad was considered a star, not even a
Hmm.
celebrity, but a star, it doesn't make it easier on her. And I'm sure the press has been badgering her for a while. And deep down, all the little girl wants to do is just, I want to be the Green Ranger. I want to live in the light of my dad's legacy and do him a justice. But yet, because there's so much drama behind JDF's untimely passing and all the negativity behind it, I feel like that request is being suppressed because they don't want more drama coming out of it. Like, oh, she doesn't deserve it because of this, or for the people that know about Kat and Jason's relationship, oh, she doesn't deserve it because of JJ being the Green Ranger and all this. But there is a lot of hatred towards his family right
Yeah.
now, and I really despise it. I feel so bad because it is not what he would have wanted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're supposed to. We were taught one major lesson at the end of the day from when we first watched Power Rangers to now. Once a ranger, always a ranger. And the power protects all of us. And I feel like people keep forgetting that that's our moral. Like, that's our motto for the ranger group. And no matter what happened to JDF, no matter what he faced or how he faced it, he's always a Power Ranger. And we need to wake up and realize he's gone and he's protecting the other side of the Morphin grid that we cannot. And that's how it needs to be seen. But I do think that he also didn't get enough justice while he was alive. During his time of being alive, he proposed Legend of the Emerald Dragon. And honestly, I think that would have been a great one to see too.
Yeah.
And
Especially with that new suit they designed of the Green
yeah,
Ranger. They
and I
used for
mean,
the
JEF paid for most of this
Sadness
out
of
of his
Metal.
own pocket. I don't know if you knew that.
Nope.
So, every Power Ranger suit he paid for out of pocket himself for this Legend of the White Dragon. And he was on a live Facebook feed, and the Facebook feed went through Twitter and stuff like that later on. And he was asking people how much do they think the suits went for. And people lowballed like 100, 200, 500, and he's like higher, higher, higher. And somebody guessed about $50,000. And he was like, still higher. I'm like, are you serious right now? So I'm going to safely assume between 75 and $100,000 each one of those suits from Legend of the White Dragon cost him.
Yeah.
And if that does not show how much he cared about a franchise or believed that it was going to be successful and how genuine of a person he was, then nothing ever will. So I've been blown away because since I found out about those, I call it the world tour for New England. Um, I had been following him and watching a lot of things, and the one thing that stands out the most is his bond with his daughter.
Yeah.
She was raised, you know, later on after Mighty Morphin had existed. Um, Somebody actually gave her a custom pop Funko that had her name on it. um, where she was the Green Ranger, and she absolutely loved it. Um, and I think the best thing for the franchise is if you're gonna let the legacy of Trini be heard as her daughter, you need to give Jitna that option too, because it doesn't seem very fair if they don't. And I think it's just as well deserved. I really think it would be a good idea to give her the Master Morpher, so to speak, and see what she can do. I really truly
Yeah.
think, I really truly stand by that. And there are a lot of people that are standing by her. One of them is Austin St. John, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, "Oh no," but he's actually been like a second father to her and
Yeah.
mentoring her everything about Power Rangers and how it works. And maybe he is actually trying to redeem himself. Who knows?
Yeah.
But, you know, she doesn't have just him behind her either. I think if I remember correctly, Catherine Sutherland is backing her too. So she's got the entire legacy Rangers behind her. And
Yeah.
I still don't understand why Netflix um, or anybody will come on and say, yeah, Jenna's going to be the Green Ranger. I really don't get it. Maybe, like you said, they're holding out for a few surprises. Who knows? Um, I also had a theory that we talked about on your podcast, for those who didn't tune in, that, maybe JJ's going to be the one in the Green Ranger suit. We don't know.
Yeah.
But there's just so much room to expand on this franchise. It could go a million different ways. But I just guess overall we're just waiting to see how the first part of it plays out.
Yeah.
And I hope it's to everybody's satisfaction. And I really hope so. But so let's wrap up with this. Have you met any of the actual Rangers yourself?
I met Walter Jones. I shook his hand. I met Steve Cardenas. Shook his hand. He gave me a sticker. And then I met David Yost. Had a little talk with him about the Power Rangers movie, the reboot. And that's pretty much it.
What was his opinion on it?
Well, my question was if he was going to be in it. He said he looked away. He didn't look at me straight. That he wasn't offered anything to be on it.
Oh my god, that's kind of mean.
Yeah.
Ugh, that's awful. I know he took his iconic saying as Billy and turned it into a clothing company called Affirmative
Yeah.
Clothing Company. I've actually bought
Yeah.
something from him before, and it actually fit pretty good. I mean, there are times I'm a little bit on the bigger side, and at times I'm a little on the skinnier side. So, like, it fit pretty decent. I still have it too. It's the pink embrace tank top, and I've talked with him a couple of times too through Instagram, through one of his live feeds. He seems pretty cool. However, when it comes to meeting the Rangers, I've physically met Johnny Young Bosch, who I had no idea of being um, one of the incantations of Artemis for Sailor Moon, as well as I met Amy Jo, and she seemed a little overwhelmed when I met her, so it was nice to be able to just say, hey, thanks for being part of my childhood, and obviously, Jason David. And I don't think I've had anything negative to say about any of those meetings. I think they were all pretty like exactly how I expected them. They were pretty laid back, pretty like really nice, really comforting, and um, really devoted to their fans. So, I mean, they didn't seem to have a mean bone in any of their bodies or anything, to the contrary of what some people believe. But Amy Jo even asked me if I was going to her panel later on, and I
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately missed it. After I promised her I would, I feel like a jerk for that, but you never know. Um, I think my next one that I would really like to meet is Walter,
Yeah, he
because
was nice.
I feel like Walter, his character Zach, was very underappreciated, and he was pretty on point. Like, he was pretty amazing. So I feel like his character never got enough love. So, and then from there, I feel like I would like to meet, uh, I guess I'd have to meet Austin and Karen, because that would seal off the whole entire thing. I had a chance to meet Steve at Super Mega Fest
Mm-hmm.
in 2016, but I kind of steered away because seemed very disassociated with being there, and it kind of gave me an off vibe. And even though he's kind of somewhat one of the original Power Rangers, I kind of didn't like that vibe. So if he's hearing this right now, I'm sorry, Steve. But, I can only do so much in a convention. So if you could pick one ranger to meet right now, Who would be your next one?
Um, I want to meet Johnny Young Bosch not only because he was the second Black Ranger, it's because he voiced some animes that I like.
He's
I
actually
want to meet him.
really funny.
Yeah, I want to meet him. I wouldn't mind meeting Amy Joe, but if there's a convention coming up in my state and Jenna's there, I wouldn't mind meeting her and her mom.
I wouldn't mind meeting Jenna at all. I actually,
Yeah,
I've seen a couple of her little reels and stuff on Instagram, and she seems pretty funny. But Johnny Young Bosch, when I met him, he was hysterical. And
yeah. I heard he has a sense of humor.
oh, does he ever? He puts my pranks to shame. But we'll talk about that one in the Once a Ranger, Always a Ranger, because I want to
Yeah,
save some fun for that. But I'll tell you this: if for the people who haven't met him, if you get a chance to, do it. It will be a moment to remember. But I just realized this is an hour and 10 minutes. There's going to be some serious editing here because I don't think YouTube's going to allow this. But that being said, I want to thank Gothic Churro of Superior Nerdom for joining me today.
anytime.
Um, I cannot wait to work with you on a podcast in the future. And for those who don't know, I will be part of his Once a Ranger, Always a Ranger podcast coming up later this week or the beginning of next week, depending on our busy, chaotic schedules. And until then, I'm Raven Knight, and thank you for joining me on my nostalgia corner. And I will see you all soon. Bye, everyone.